What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good hump day. It's raining here. I'm not feeling real well today. But you know the drill. Let me share the links. Maybe a little shorter class today. There's my notification. Well, I get that sometimes. Sometimes I don't get it. I understand a lot of people. Sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. I don't know. Well, Facebook marvels, I guess. Let me share the links. So what's everybody got going on this hump day? Open up the links. Man, Facebook with these damn tabs, man. That's where I don't know. Maybe it's Windows doing that. Starting to aggravate me. Try to adjust tabs in this thing, and it moves them all over the place. All right. Bear with me a second. Let me get these shared. I try not to go through it too fast because if I go slow, I can usually squeeze in an extra group or two. I think usually the limit's 10, but if you go slow, don't act like a bot. They might be able to squeeze in a few more. They definitely limit you, though. Oh, bear with me. We'll get them out there. I can't read comments right now. If somebody's waiting for me to reply to something, I'll be done in just a second, though. What the hell is it? I hate this stupid tab set up where they got it. I don't know why in the hell it does that. Try to arrange the tabs, and I don't know what happens why it turns blue like that. Hadn't always been that way. I guess it's a Windows 11 thing. But we're about done. They'll put the brakes on me here in a minute, I'm sure. I don't understand it though. Yeah, that was a little sooner than usual. Okay, so I wasn't able to do those. What the hell does that mean? Okay, let's go. All right, now it's in my greeting. What's going on, Dwight? You were number one. Clint didn't oversleep tonight. What you got going on this weekend, Dwight? What's going on, Gordon? What's going on, Jimmy? Awesome. What's up, Curtis? Yeah, tap water's fine. I mean, if you live in Clinton, Michigan, yeah, I don't know. It really it's kind of hit or miss depending on what your locale is. But generally speaking, if that's all you got, it's all you got. If you've got filters, of course that helps. The Brita filters, or some people use these motorhome filters or anything like that. It's going to help. It doesn't have to be reverse osmosis or anything like that. In fact, unless you got minerals to add back, you don't really want to reverse osmosis. But yeah, I mean, tap water is fine. It's not optimal, and it will vary by location, and it depends on what they use to keep your water clean with. Some places use just regular chlorine, and that's pretty easily removed. Some places use the chloramine, and it's quite a bit more difficult to remove. But all in all, it's probably not going to be as good a product or as optimal, but it works. It most people probably couldn't taste the difference in a mash made with it and without it. Now, when it comes to beers and wine, yeah, you'll probably taste some difference in a wine or a beer. Whereas once something gets distilled, it's probably going to be a lot less distinct a difference. So for distilling, it's still not optimal, but I mean, if it's all you got, it's all you got. It's. But some places, it's going to be better than others. Again, if you're living in Flint, I don't know. It's probably, I don't know. What's going on, Stephen? Yep, that's right. RV filter motor. That's what I meant by motorhome, whatever. But RV filters work pretty well. They're designed to remove a lot of sediments and heavy metals, things like that. And a lot of people go to these parks, and the water gets kind of rusty, because some of those lines don't get used real often. And when you first turn them on, you don't want all that sediment getting in your system. So these RV filters help remove a lot of that for sure. And but it's not optimal, but it's better than but buying water. It's tough to go out and pay for or you could distill some water if you got a pretty good heat source that's cheap. You got electric heat source, and you just have to plug in and you can distill some water. I mean, I don't know how much electric bill that would cost per gallon. It'd be pretty interesting to see how much that would cost to do per gallon, to distill just some water and clean it up. Be interesting. But for the most part, tap water's fine, but it's not optimal for like a wine. Yeah. Chlorine. If your community uses chlorine, a gas, to clean your water with, yeah, that's pretty easily removed. Like Cliff saying, just you know stir it up, get it agitated, try to degas it a little bit, and let it sit overnight, and it'll degas pretty well, and you can boil it and help speed that process up. But a lot of places they're using chloramine with an M, chloramine, and you can't do it that way. So it just depends on where you at. Yeah, I can see it. Oh, were you talking to somebody else? Maybe. That's a good question. It will provide some interesting flavors and depths, but some flavors may not carry forward. It's if you've never made brandy, you realize how tough it is to carry flavors forward. So some of those fruits in that fruit mix may carry forward, some may not, but it will make for a pretty interesting, flavor. But I doubt that you just don't get a lot of carry forward. With an infuser, maybe using an infuser with mixed fruits, it would do pretty well. What's going on, Scott? What's up, Brian? Good to see you, brother. Just did my first round of sugar wash over cracked corn. Wound up tasting like that ethyl hand sanitizer. Is that normal? Yeah, it's just that's the odor of alcohol. If you go buy your bottle of vodka and smell it, that's what you're going to smell. It's pretty much the flavor. A lot of people are sometimes let down. They expect something different, but alcohol and ethanol is ethanol, and it's going to smell and taste like ethanol. And that's not always it doesn't have a lot of odor, and the flavor is normally a little bit on the bitter side, and sometimes sweet, depending on how you do things. But that's typical, perfectly typical. Now, what we'll work on next is getting more flavor to carry forward, and we'll have to talk about your system, your setup, and maybe some infusion. If you have something to infuse with uh, inline, or have your little infuser built, you could next time add your little can of cream corn to an infuser, and it'll carry some carry more corn flavor over if you want the corn liquor flavor. But did you convert the corn and everything, or did you just use a thin mash? What's going on, brother? How's it going, Steven? Hey, LaDonna, how you doing? Let me keep up Daniel's question. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll on down, try to. That's a good idea. I've actually seen them take charcoal from a fire and stuff, and like pack bamboo, and use in the wild and stuff, use bamboo filters and stuff just for like stream water and stuff, just to get the giardia and other things out of it. Oh, that's cool, brother. Yeah, I'll get it here in a minute. Yeah, chloramine is it can be pretty stubborn. I'll check that out, Stephen. I hadn't heard about that, but I do know that it's been traditionally not very easy. So if that is the case, that'll be a good tip for sure. What's going on, Mr. Gray? Good to see you, brother. Cane sugar be perfectly fine for a sour mash. Yes, sir. Hey, Andrew, how's it going, brother? Good to see you on here. I ain't seen you on a little bit, brother. You been doing all right? Yeah, it'll smell like a big old bottle of rubbing alcohol. It's alcohol. It smells like alcohol. Unless you get some flavors to carry over, it's gonna smell like that. Now, Daniel, did you convert the corn or did you just add it to as a thin mash kind of thing? I'd say 1.0, maybe 1.0, just a tad above it or something is not going to be too bad. But yeah, 1.000 right before it gets to the zero. Starting out, 1.080, 1.070 in that range is a pretty good starting point. Awesome. No, brother. I'll be reading up on that tonight and seeing what's the best way to do it for sure. Yeah, I start with 1070, 1080 generally, depending on what I'm doing. If I get a 1065 or something like that on a grain conversion, cool, cool. And next time, what we're going to do is we're going to cook that corn and try to convert it, and that'll get some sugars from the corn and may give you a little bit more corn flavor. How much corn and sugar did you use, Daniel? 1.2. Now, I will say I saw a post earlier somewhere in one of the groups that somebody was posting that they were using the powdered amylase, and I commented on it. And what I found, I'm hoping that they watch the podcast. They don't, whatever, but they'd used the powdered alpha, and they've got some of the powdered alpha, and so they were using it and had checked their mash with starch and said it kinda had a pretty good conversion, but not total. So, but they didn't speak of any other amylase. They didn't talk about any beta, any malts, or any glucose. And so what they've created was a mash with some fermentables. There's some that'll get chopped up. We've been over that, but there's going to be a lot of limit dextrins in there, and they're not going to get a lot of alcohol out of it at all. Their um, their gravity is going to be high throughout the whole thing. They're not. Let me know if this fan. Can y'all hear that fan? Does it mess with the microphone much or any at all? Because I'm not feeling well, and I got to have the fan on me, but I'm not feeling good. Setting at 1.2 or 1.02. Right, I follow you 1.02. So you're two over. I'd let it go a little bit longer. What do you got going, Mike? Just you said all grain. Did you get a good conversion with it? And That's fine, Daniel. Yeah, it's yeah, I've never got it to work. I've got it okay to work, but again, never fully, like you say. That's why I try to use it even with my liquid. I try to use a little bit less liquid and use some of that, try to get rid of it because I'm so damn cheap. It's only like $12 a pound, and I got like half a pound. It's $6 worth. But I'd like to get rid of it. But it's very temperature sensitive. You really have, did the fan bother? Could y'all hear that when I kicked it on? So it's very temperature sensitive. You gotta be less than 160. Optimally at 155 plus, it'll start to denature pretty quickly. At 160, it'll kill it out. So 150, 155 entry temp, and don't let it get less than 145 or it won't hardly work. So you got 145 to 55. If you can keep it at 150, 145 to 150 in that tighter range for the full 90 minutes, it'll be okay. But it's pretty tough to keep it. And you got to stir the hell out of it as you add the hot water. You got to really stir it in quick and good so you don't kind of denature it, because it's going to be hot in some areas, cooler in others. You want to get that stirred in. So if you have an insulated fermenter, it helps. Um, but yeah, it's very very temperature sensitive, that powder, and it's not the best. It's used to. It's about what we had. That and malt. And if you did just want to do an all corn and throw in a little glucose, it was that was about all you had. But now we got the high temp. Um, it's tough. I definitely would much 10 to 1 recommend the high temp. I know it's a little bit more expensive, and but yeah, it's definitely, that's good to know, Stephen. I'm gonna read up on that, brother, for sure. I definitely will be sharing that information with everybody, because chloramine can be a problem with the yeast and stuff, and stressing it and get some off flavors. So vitamin C doesn't hurt. And lowering the pH a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything either, because you want to drop it anyway. So that'll probably save you a little bit on citric acid. Definitely. Yeah, I'd if you got a good conversion, I'd let it go a little longer. Yeah, I'd let it go a little while. Has the temps been pretty low, or how many days has it been? Yeah, I agree, Gordon. It's stubborn stuff. Definitely stubborn stuff. Brian, got my hands on 100-year oak, white oak. Good. Hardwood flooring. Put all the nails planed an eighth and charred it. I've had it soaked in 4 gallons. That's awesome, brother. Yeah, make sure you get all the lacquer off. And, the only thing I worry about is, if a cat pissed on it or something, an animal peed on it, and it soaked into the wood, I'd be worried about something like that, soaking in. But uh, if it hadn't, that old wood, it'll be really good, aged like that. That old wood's good. That's awesome. My luck, I'd get the corner. I'd get the corner wood that has all the cat piss on it, and it ruins my damn mash. I tell you, I used to use firewood. I'd get firewood, and I had these people that would they'd bring me, oak and stuff, white oak, and I'd ask them for that, and maple and a few other things. Some of it I use for my barbecue, instead of just my fireplace. And so I'd go through it and pick out, the white oak what I could, and I was cutting it up into pieces and charring it and stuff, and I was putting it in there, and I was getting sometimes I'd get a little bit of film, a rainbow film on the top, and an off taste. And it took me forever to realize that it was that bar and chain lube from cutting that firewood on the outside edges of that firewood. So if you ever get firewood or anything like that, or cut those edges off with a circular saw or something that doesn't have lube on it, because it'll definitely, even if you char it, it's still there. It's not good. Oh yeah. Yeah, the high temp is night and day. And Stephen, if you can return that powder, I'd definitely recommend returning it and getting that high temp alpha. It is more expensive, but it's so much more effective. It's night and day. I mean, it'll save you a lot of headaches. I just save up and get it, brother. Ascorbic acid, yeah. Yeah. That's probably why. Yeah, a little cooler. It'll take a little longer. That's actually beneficial, so it'll work out well for you. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's good. That's that good old heartwood too, man. It's different than the stuff they get today. You look at the rings in it and the pattern. It's a lot better wood. Yeah, oh, urea won't hurt anything, huh? No, no, I don't think that'd be good. I've never aged with hickory. I use it for barbecuing, but I'm real weary. I've tried red oak, and I got kind of hives from it. You can tell that my nose gets red even if I start drinking a little bit. So I'm kind of sensitive to a lot of things, and there are a lot of people out there that are sensitive to it. And so I used some red oak, and I definitely could tell I was get little hives on my chest, on my nose and face, little splotches, and it's just basically an allergy from the wood tannins. So a lot of people have allergic reactions to the red oak, and I'm sure there's a chemical in the wood. Um, I could probably Google it. I don't know what it is. I don't know how people say, "Oh, you Google every answer." Well, answers like this, I'll Google because I don't know all the answers. Believe it or not. I guess I should say red oak, not redwood. Red oaks, specifically Quercus ruba, can cause allergic reactions in some individuals due to its pollen. Interesting. These reactions are often similar to other tree pollen allergies. Well, that's just a pollen allergy. I'm talking about tannin allergies. That's pollen allergies. Let's say red oak tannin. By proteins found in the pollen and in the case of wood dust, both by irritant compounds. So, yeah, it's more than a pollen thing. It's not the pollen because I don't think I'm getting much pollen from charred oak. Yeah, some people just have sensitivities and intolerance to tannins of different types. And some people, yeah, and strawberries. That's pretty interesting that mentions strawberries because I do get that from strawberries. I'm glad I read this. So see, Googling helps. Some people think I Google every answer people ask. I know only the things I don't know, because I don't profess to know it all. I'm glad I looked that up though, because I do have reactions, slight reactions to strawberries. I've got allergies, food allergies and stuff, so it's good to know. Glad I Googled it. I've not done it. I was thinking about that when I was talking to Steven about his. He got the powder and it was 12. I think $12 for a pound, and he showed me on Amazon where he got it, and I was looking at the liquid, and it was like 8 ounces for like $18. And I was just kind of wondering, would 8 ounces of the liquid be pretty equivalent? Because I do know once you consider the effectiveness of it, it's definitely going to be beneficial. So if you can, Stephen, I'd return that. That powder stuff and get you some good liquid high temp. I think you'll be a lot happier with it, brother. And I don't think it's going to end up costing you a lot more. If any, it's only going to be a couple few dollars, and it's going to make life so much easier. It's going to definitely be worth the difference. And it may not be any more expensive at all, but I think it might end up, ounce for ounce, pound for pound, jar for bag, might be a little bit more, but that'd be something to another nice experiment. I can probably do that by the recommended dosage. I know the high temp is like 0.1 to 0.3 teaspoons, and this is like measured in ounces. So we might be able to do the math on that and find out, but it's not going to be a whole lot of difference, brother. Do you have much experience with the 2-inch keg topper pipe and Liebig condenser setups? Absolutely. My current setup doesn't give me very high proof, and I'm considering switching to that. Really, Dylan? What kind of proof are you getting, Dylan? But yeah, I'm very familiar with the 2-inch spools and the deflagmators and Liebigs and shotguns and all that good stuff. So yeah, I can definitely help you out with that, brother. But let me know what proof you're getting. 90 on the hearts. Well, you might want to, you might want to get that up a little bit. I mean, what kind of flavor are you getting in the hearts? Right, once they're blended, right. But I mean, what are you getting coming off? Coming off the steel when you're in the hearts? Um, what proof are you getting when it comes off the steel when you're in the hearts? If is it 130? What are you getting before you blend? Yeah. Yeah, I'm the kind of the same way. I use chestnut tannins in my wines, and they don't seem to bother me as much as the oak tannins do. About 105. Well, you might want to, it wouldn't be bad to bump that up a little bit, to get it around 130. But I would say no. I'd say no, Stephen. That stuff denatures at anything above that powder. It denatures at anything over 160, brother. I've already read on it and did the research on it long ago. And again, when you and I had our discussion the other day or yesterday, day before, I wouldn't follow that at all. I'd send it back. Don't even fool with it, man. I fucked with that shit for years, and once I got high temp, man, I can't wait to get rid of my last bag. I'll never buy it again. Promise you, brother. Actually, hell, if it's close enough, I'd give you what I got. But yeah, I wouldn't fool with it. It will denature at 170. I can't even believe they told you that. Yeah, I get the same way, Mike. I definitely do. But these chestnut tannins don't bother me as much, and I don't use hardly any of them. And some wines I don't use any at all. But wonder if anyone has ever tried to build a barrel before. I got so much of this white oak. I was thinking about trying my hand at crafting one. I'm a welder, blacksmith. How hard can it be? Well, you can build a square barrel. It doesn't have to be round. And I mean, if you got band saws and you got a way to, start with a thick piece and curve it, or physically bend it, get it wet, and make the bends in it, and then bandsaw it. And I mean, I will say that it's going to be a lot harder than just picking up a used. You can get a lot of these 53. I don't know where y'all located. It definitely varies big time. But around here, man, you can pick up a 53-gallon barrel used, once used barrel. Some of them are twice, for like $50, $70, 50 to 70 range. Sometimes I see 45, sometimes I see, 75, but 50 to 70 in that range, you can get big 53s, and I know that's huge. But one thing I saw somebody do down in Arkansas when I was down there at the Music Moonshine Festival, and they had over in the corner, they had taken a 15-gallon barrel, and they took the top off and the bottom off, and removed the bands. Okay. Then they took 53-gallon barrel staves, and they assembled them together, as I guess as you normally would, around the 15-gallon top and bottom, and used those bands, the metal bands on it, and made a real tall, I don't know how many gallons, maybe a 30-ish, I'm guessing. I don't remember what they said was the gallon rating on it, but I thought that was a damn killer idea. I'd never even heard or seen that before, but it was pretty cool. It was a tall, narrow, and they said it was really good for aging. It'd age them pretty quickly, and of course it's not going to be as good as a 53 for 4 years or 5, but pretty good idea. That might be something to try too. But I'm sure there's some good videos on it, Brian. If you're good at woodworking and all that, hell yeah. I will say, if you're a welder though, you can definitely find some kegs and weld some ferrules in there, make a little side money welding ferrules in for people, and converting kegs to little steels. And if you want a little hobby job, if you're good at welding, or just offering it to people that want that done. But yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Let us know how it works. I mean, getting the char done though, you definitely want to char it good, and get that alligator back char, that heavy char on it, like a number 3. A lot of people think a char is just like blackening, food or something. No, you need to get that wood looking like a alligator's back. It'd be interesting though. Definitely check it out, try it, let us know how that works out. Hell, you may have a little good side gig doing that. But it's going to be hard to compete with, people selling those 53s. And I can get, I think my last 15s, I got a couple of 15s for like 100 each, and that is a little bit hard to find. They're hard to find, and like the 5s and the 10-gallon ones, if you wanted to make some smaller ones like that, 5 and 10-gallon ones, those are pretty heavily sought after, because that's holds a decent amount, because there's a lot of half a gallon ones out there, but they just don't hold that much. And then once you go from a gallon to 2 gallon to 15, at least 5 to 10 range, kind of empty, and there's not a lot in the 5 to 10 range, and that would be a pretty much optimal size for a home home distiller, home crafter. Hey, brother, some people think I Google every damn answer on here, man, and it's like, I can show you my window. I don't, you can tell when I Google, I'll go like this right here. I'll put my head down, you'll hear my keys, or I'm looking something up. But yeah, I mean, I don't Google all my answers. I don't depend on it. But if I don't know something, I'll Google it, and I don't pretend to be a know-it-all. I think that's why a lot of people don't do live Q&As, because they want people to think that they know it all. And I don't think anybody expects anybody to know it all, and And I think that if they admit to Googling, it's, I guess, a crush to their ego or something. Hell, I don't care. I'll be the first to admit I'm learning with you guys. There's a lot of shit that I learn every damn week. And I hope everybody else is learning too. That's what we're on here for. So there's little things like strawberries. I had no idea that that's the same allergy that I'm sensitive to. The tannins is the same strawberry. I guess strawberries might have the same tannins or something in it. But yeah, Dylan, we can get you up there, brother. Um, so you're running a keg still, and how tall is the tube that comes up off your keg before it does the bend into the lobby? And yeah, I wouldn't do that, Stephen. If you hadn't opened it, send it back. Send it back to Amazon and get some of that high temp, brother. I'm telling you, take it from somebody in Clint and everybody else that's used it in the past. It's just, I wish I could trade my bag in for it. I would, but yeah, I don't. But just get the high temp. It's a no brainer, brother. And it doesn't. It's so little amount of the high temp. It's like the powder too, but so little. I mean, zero point 0.1 to zero point 0.3 teaspoons. I mean, that's fucking. That's like you could fucking measure that in drips, bro. I mean, it's crazy. You can eye drop literally. Bud, that's beechwood age. That's the beechwood that's doing it. That's why. That's good, brother. I like that name too, man. Kushmaster General. Copper pot, thumper, 4 shots, 150, 60, hearts at 140, tails at 120. That's good, but I'd run them tails on down some. And do you collect your tails, Kush? I mean, keep those tails and run them again, brother. Yeah, we like the Kush, man. That's Vancouver Island, out in the middle of the ocean. Awesome. Oh hell. Well, then you definitely need some big barrels, brother. Vancouver Island. All right. I'm not going to Google. I'm going to Google Earth. I want to see Vancouver Island. Google Earth Pro. Glad I got on here. I'm feeling a little better after I get on here. I have a good time with y'all. It's good medicine. Oh hell, you're British Columbia, brother. Oh hell yeah, that's beautiful. Vancouver Island, isn't that where they do the Lost? They do a lot of episodes of Lost on there, and they drop those survivors off naked. No, that's naked afraid. They drop them off there with like 7 items. That's cool as fuck. That's beautiful country, man. That's on my bucket list. I will go up there someday and tour. I mean, that's just, I love Canada, man. It's such a raw, untamed. I wish Trump would buy it. I'm just kidding. That seemed to tick a lot of people off when he talked about that. But I would love to have it part of the U.S., man. I love Canada and just the raw nature of it, man. There's so much green and just forest, and it's so much nature there, man. It's so beautiful, and all the people are pretty good. I don't care much for some of the politicians there, but not for this podcast. So I don't want to piss anybody off talking about that. But yeah, Canada's a beautiful place. But got some friends in Washington. If you ever get down into Washington, I might be able to get you some hookups on some barrels there, maybe. Got a 25-gallon barrel at a small distillery in Lex. Awesome. And it was very reasonable. I don't remember exactly. Yeah, they're cheap here, Texas, man. I mean, I get them. That's where I'm at. And they're like, sometimes $45 for once used, good, nice, no rust on the bands. They're pouring out, and you can tell they kept in good brick houses. It wasn't rusty and shit. So, squirrels weren't out there playing on it. All right, let's see. Yeah, you can, well, with the thumper, you can get, up that high with a thumper too, or a double thumper, but it's drinkable once you proof it down. What the problem is a lot of people are under the impression that you want a higher proof when you distill. And if you're doing like whiskeys and brandies and things with a lot of flavor that you want a lot of flavor to carry forward, 130/40 is perfect, bro. I mean, that's perfect. That's right where you want to be, because you're getting a lot of water. And a lot of the water, a lot of your phenols and flavonoids and all these things, flavors, will bond to the water much, much more readily than it will the ethanol, right? So the more, like he was talking about, he got that. I can't remember who it was. He did the corn, cracked corn with sugar and didn't do any conversions or anything, so he didn't get a whole lot of corn flavor. Um, Not sure what proof it was. I can't remember what proof, but so the more water that you can get to carry forward, the more flavor that you'll get to carry forward with it. So like vodka. Vodka is considered a neutral spirit, kind of like a pure drink, and that's why you have to get it to 190, distilled to 190, to make a perfect neutral. That takes all the flavor because there's absolutely very little water in there, so there's no flavor, right? It makes it a neutral, and that's how you do it. The more water you remove, the more flavor you remove. So that's not a good thing. I know it's a pissing contest between a bunch of them. Oh, I get 180 on mine. Mine's 189. By God, I talk to you. Okay, unless you're making vodka, it's you're defeating the purpose. So 140, 130, 140 is a perfect proof to come off with a lot of good flavors. You got a good mix of water with it. You can go into a barrel at 130, 140 if you want to pull certain notes out, right? And if you don't, then you can lower your proof and go in at 110, into the barrel and get different notes, So it just depends on what notes that you want to get. But yeah, it produces a drinkable liquor, but it takes flavor out. Now, sometimes that's not a bad thing. So if you have a mash that doesn't taste real good and you've got some liquor that comes off and it's the flavor that carried forward is not good, yeah, you can just pour it right back in there and set you a column up on the keg and run it through the column, the same stuff, just pour it on the back set. You don't have to change anything. So if you got to run, just leave the heads out, of course, but put all the tails, everything back in there and run it through a column and take those bad flavors out, uh, and make more of a neutral, and then just proof it down with some apple juice or some water or whatever you want to proof it down with, and make a pretty good drink out of it. Yeah, you want to get a good alligator back. You want that wood to blister and break, and I guess alligator back is the way they describe it, and that's a pretty good way to describe it. You've seen that wood in the fire, the next day after it comes out, and you've seen that the ridges and it looks like an alligator back. So that's what you want. What's up, Roy? What's going on, brother? Good to see you, man. Yeah, they make you can get some stainless steel barrels and go to one of these barrel companies, or you can make a lid yourself. and press it and into it. I know West does it, and there's some other companies that do it as well. Sam Mo Barrel, and he does it. Bad Mo does it. There's quite a few several different companies out there that are doing it now, and those do pretty well. But those uh, those are long-term barrels, because you don't have all that surface area, the liquor, all that surface area contacting the wood. So it's similar in aging to a 53, and it breathes, it respires, and everything, kind of like a big barrel. Probably after 4 or 5 years, not going to be exactly like a big barrel, but it's going to be a lot better than a small barrel for a month or a few weeks, or staves. So it does do the time thing. So you have to have the time, and it goes through the pressure changes, the temperature changes, it going in and out of the wood. And I'm pretty sure that you could probably, send it in and have a new, lid put on it, or remove it, sand it, rechar it, and put it back in. I'm not sure how they press them in, glue them in, and I'm not sure what they use. Yeah, you better believe it, brother. But there's a lot of people that their egos just won't let them admit that they don't know it all, and if somebody asks a question, Lord, it just tear them up to say, I don't know. Let's have a look and and find the answer. It just tear them up, man. They couldn't stand it. Me, I'm learning every day. I've done this for over 4 decades, and I'm learning shit all the time. So, but yeah, uh, I guess I'm about the only one that does a live like this and takes live questions on, and I don't have all the answers. I got a lot of answers, and I understand the science to a certain point. Once it gets into really high level science, I have to kind of pass it on to Patrick Heist or somebody like that, and Alan Bishop and some of these guys, and let them answer it. But Patrick Heist, man, that dude knows his shit. That dude's, man, he's brilliant. Dr. Patrick Heist. He runs Whiskey University, Moonshine U, works at that. He's faculty there. He has what's the name of that? Distillery. It's right here. He runs Firm Solutions out of Danville, and Distillery, Wilderness Trail Distillery. Yeah, he's a genius. That dude, probably the most knowledgeable person in the world as far as science and understanding everything about it. I would say, if not, he's certainly in the top 5 or 10 without a doubt. And he's a guy that'll talk to us. He's been on a few podcasts. Maybe I'll try to get him on this one sometime. But he's been on some podcasts. I think Big Easy had him on his show, Still Talking. I think him and they had him on there, or we're trying to get him on there. I know him and Alan are friends and talk. But yeah, Patrick's definitely the shizzle when it comes to knowledge. I know a little bit, but I don't profess to know what he knows, man. They do DNA sequencing and heavy science that's way beyond my pay grade. I didn't go to college for that. I mean, I was pre-med and took science and took all the sciences, organic chemistry and all that good stuff, and biology's, high levels, and did all that stuff. But I didn't end up doing that because math was a stumbling block for me. But so I didn't spend the last 40 years of my life dedicating to to learning the science and doing all that. I had a regular job in a totally different related industry. So yeah, I don't know all that. What kind of cheap beverage setup? You got the 3-pot, Dylan? So that might explain some of your lower proof. Make sure that you're not getting any leaks, because those are definitely, if it's the 3 pots with the little plastic gaskets, those are definitely renowned to crack and leak a little bit. So if you do have a vapor leak, it's definitely going to affect your proof, and it's going to definitely lower it. Yeah, it doesn't have to be round. The reason it's round is so they can transport it easily and get it around. And they've got little tracks and everything built, and getting it on the horse carts and stuff, and carting it around, that's why it's round, is just so they can roll it and get it from place to place. If you don't have to worry about rolling it, you can build a square box. My favorite mash recipe. Well, I mean, it's not a recipe per se. I just have like percentages of stuff that I use, but I like corn, and I like wheat, and I like oats. And I'll usually add some barley to it as well. So corn, oats, wheats, and barley, 4 grain, probably, my favorite. Definitely my favorite. Other than brandies, I like a lot of brandies. I've been doing a lot of brandies for the last few years. I haven't been doing a lot of grains at all. I need to get back into some grains though, because I got to fill up some barrels. But and I can do volume. See, that's the difference in fruits and grains. In grains, you can turn out a lot for a little money. It doesn't take a lot of money to buy corn and sugar. If you don't get a good conversion, you can throw a little bit of sugar or dextrose in there to build it up, and you can make quite a bit of shine that way pretty cheaply. But with brandies, I'm paying, going to the store for my fruit. It's not cheap, so it's a little bit more expensive, and I'm not willing to dedicate a lot of money to building up a barrel. I don't want a barrel of brandy, so yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing some 4 grain. I like weeded bourbon. I like oats. Give it a little softer feel. That's something I've been doing a little bit more of. I can't say recently because I've been doing mostly brandies, but in the last 10 years, whereas, for the first probably 30 years, I did mostly just, thin mashes and just cornmeal and sugar, and not even a lot of conversions. I just did a lot of thin mash. I didn't really, I just made shine. So, Dylan, what kind of beverage you got? Oh, 13, 3 pot. Okay. I had to scroll down. Damn it, I'm getting behind again. Let me make sure I didn't miss any questions. Yeah, I did. I love that place up there. It's beautiful. Hell yeah, man. You might regret saying that, man. Yeah, I mean, if you do, especially with a deflagmator, yeah, you could easily get 190 putrid. That's funny. Hell yeah. Thank you, Mark. Oh, oh, made me feel good. This may make me feel good or bad. Got a little floaty in there. I'm not quite sure what that is. Hmm. Yeah, it is. It is a fun hobby. What's going on, Dave? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, man. I tell you, when you start getting my age, though, Brian, it's like I'm to the point where I'm relearning things, and being so forgetful. It's like the simple things escape you. It's last week, I couldn't come up with slobber box to save my life. A month or two ago, funnel. Funnel. Couldn't fucking think of the word funnel, man. So yeah, getting old sucks. It's getting bad. I'm probably gonna be getting, next who knows how many years I won't be able to do this anymore. I won't be able to hardly speak if it gets a lot worse. Yeah, me too, Clint. We're both still learning, brother. Now worry. My sister got dementia at a young age. She just passed away last year, and she was just 4 or 5 years older than me, and my dad's got it. So, and I'm starting to get forgetful like that, and it really worries me. I'm afraid that in a few years, I'm not going to be able to answer a lot of questions like this anymore. That's right. There ain't no masters out there. Yeah, check. Make sure you don't have any leaks. There's nothing wrong with the 13.2. Did you make any modifications to your plumbing, or are you still using it like it came? He's got two that you've been putting putty on. Well, they make some replacement gaskets, and I would recommend, if you got the time and money and the ability, you can increase the size of your plumbing, and you can get what's called a bulkhead fitting, and it'll just screw on. So if you don't have welding or soldering skills, it'll just screw right on there, and it's got like silicone gaskets and stuff where it won't mess up. And then you can use like a compression fitting in copper and bigger, because if you increase the size of the copper line, especially on those 13s and 15s and 18s, now the 5 to the 10s, half inch probably help a lot, but on that, like a 5/8 to 3/4 or even an inch, if you can find it cheap, it's not cheap. That'd be awesome. Increase the size of the plumbing and the dependability of the fittings. That's the worst thing about the 3 pots is the gaskets that break and the plumbing, and B, the condensers are always undersized. They're grossly undersized condensers. So if you're still using the stock condenser, you may have steam coming out the end of that and not even know it. And a lot of your alcohol is going out, and a lot of it that gets condensed with the water, maybe what's bringing the proof down as well. So, yeah, definitely. I'd recommend going to a keg. It's tough to clean. So if you know somebody that welds, and you can get, like a 4-inch or 3-inch, welded to the top, or to the top. You don't have to do the very tippy top. You can just still use the 2-inch on that, but just blow it on the side. Have a 3-inch or 4-inch welded in there, and cap it off when you're using it, and open it up. You can clean it out a little bit better, fill it a lot easier. And that was my big issue when I used a keg steel. I didn't have anything other than just the top, so I didn't have any electric. Wasn't using electric, and it was hard to clean out. I didn't have a pressure washer. I didn't have anything back then, and I'd end up taking it to the car wash to clean it out. Where I could spray it in there, on the rinse cycle and clean it out good. No, I didn't use soap, but I did use the rinse cycle on it to help spray it out because I didn't have a pressure washer. I'm sure people thought that was awful strange, somebody cleaning up their beer keg, but that was the biggest problem I had with it, was just cleaning it out. And but other than that, yeah, I definitely loved having the keg over the pressure cooker and the little teeny copper steel I had. Awesome. That's what I do, man. If I make a wine and it doesn't turn out, it becomes a brandy. And I've had some good brandies from some bad wines. So yeah, I've got a bever, I've got a bever too I use. 8 gallon. I've got the 15. No, I'm sorry, 18.5 football, and that's for a couple $100, it comes complete, and it'll turn out pretty decent, liquor just as is. With the little football head, you can stuff it full of copper mesh and help take out some of the sulfites, and it does brandies and whiskeys pretty well. Um, I'd say for somebody that just wants to stovetop cook or use a propane burner, it's fine. It's a lot like a keg, but it's easier to clean out, and it's got the ferrule too, on it. So it's definitely modular and easier to upgrade. But for cheapness and durability, you can't beat a keg, that's for sure. And it's good and thick. And when it's sitting in the corner, it doesn't look like a moonshine still. It just looks like a beer keg sitting there. There you go. Yeah, use those sweet waters on your tails. Those 10 proof or 10% tails called the sweet waters. Those are good to use. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's not sweet. I tried it. It tastes horrible. Those aren't sweet." And I have to laugh because they say sweet water. They don't mean that it's sweet in flavor. They mean that it's got flavor in it, and that flavor doesn't taste good when it's mixed with water. Uh, it's got a little bit of alcohol in there, and it's got a lot of flavor from the water in there. But once you mix that with the alcohol, that flavor blends with the alcohol to make a good flavor with the rest of the alcohol, right? With the rest of the flavor that you got from your distilling, versus using just pure water, which will, it thins it out. It looking for the right word. It neutralizes a lot of dilutes a lot of the flavor. So if you use just pure water, you're diluting a lot of the flavor. Whereas where you use that sweet water, you're getting a little bit of alcohol to carry forward, and you're getting flavors that will mingle with the good flavors coming from your distillate to make it'll taste good. So it's not going to be sweet. That's kind of a misnomer. It's not a sweet water. It's not like when you taste it, it's going to be sugary sweet. But I think it's kind of a sweet spot maybe. Malted wheat is awesome. Not from the feed store. No, I get mine from a farmer here that does winter wheat every year, and I get the hard winter wheat. I've done it with and without malting it. Malted wheat definitely better. Um, Kind of mellows the taste a little bit. Sometimes if you don't malt it, it can get a little bit grassy, but that grassy sweetness is what a lot of people like. So I like malted, and I like using wheat. Period. My favorite brandy. Good question. I'd have to say probably peach. I love peaches, and I like peach brandy because it generally carries forward pretty well. Um, Blackberry makes a good brandy. I know Wes probably made one of the best. Wes Sandman uh, made one of the best blackberry brandies I've ever tasted. It was damn good. It was clear. It wasn't post, and it was probably one of the best blackberry brandies I've ever tasted. Man, he did really, really good with it. He did a double jar infusion with it. Those worked real well, and that was a really, really good brandy. But I'd say a good peach brandy probably my favorite. I like peaches. Yeah, I was trying to. Somebody was asking earlier. Let's see, who's that, Brian? Somebody in a group, Clint, was asking this beard, uh, probably about 4 years old. Looks like I've had it all my lifetime. It's almost down to my belly button, but it's about 4, 3.5. Oh yeah, somebody was talking about doing a mash, and they got it to 1.080 and or 10%. That's what they said. They didn't say 1.080. They said 10%, and then fermented it, and they wanted to double it to 20%. Could they just add that much more sugar to it and do it again? I'm like, why in the hell would you want to do that, man? I mean, no, you can, but you shouldn't. There's certain things that you can do, but a lot of times you probably shouldn't do it. That's one of the cases. It's going to stress the yeast. It's going to pH is going to crash. It's going to heavy sugar. No, it's going to be hot. It's just everything's going to be wrong with it. So agreed. Just run it. Do 2. Just do 2 and run it twice. Get twice the volume. And if you want higher proof, get a column and a deflect. But yeah, I mean, I guess feed store works fine. One thing you don't want to do is like rye. Don't use seed rye. Like from the seed store or something. The rye, that's a different rye. But yeah, feed store wheat works just fine. I mean, I just get mine from a farmer, so I don't have to go to the feed store. But yeah, it's the same thing. Winter wheat, red winter wheat, hard red winter wheat. A lot of people use it for cover crops and stuff. But yeah, it's the same stuff. It's fine. I've got a farmer. I can get mine. It's so cheap. I feel guilty every time I visit him. I feel so bad. I'm getting like 50-pound bags for $12. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some all wheat now that I've got I'm gonna have to give me some of that glucanase. Or what is that? The Sebstar we were talking about, Clint. The Sebstar that helps with the wheat and the glucans. The glutens. Sebstar, I don't remember which Sebstar it was, but I'm gonna get me some of that and do some all wheat this year. Hey, brother, you ain't got nothing to apologize for. I'm scrolling back, seeing what, going on, Mitch. Yeah, oh, okay, I see, Mitch. Yeah, it is cool, Colleen. Yeah, look for the pins coat. You don't want to get anything that's got been pins coated or something like that. That's coated for ready to be planted or something. Yeah, you don't want to get that. Yeah, you don't want to get anything pins coated or anything that's been coated with any kind of fertilizers or anything. That would work great, brother. On a 13, it would be fine. Anything less, like a 10, anything less than 10, I would maybe go with a 1.5, or a 1. But on a 13, yeah, you'll be fine with a 2-inch ferrule bulkhead. And yep. Well, what you could do is put that bulkhead on your bever and use it now, and then when you graduate to a keg or a bigger bever or a bigger copper pot or something like that, you could always add another one and make a thumper out of your old bever pot. A lot of people do that. And Philbilly can help you. They got a lot of fittings, a lot of bulkhead stuff, and columns, anything you need for anything like that. They can hook you up. They do a lot of that, and they also Philbilly has tons of videos. So if you can't afford to buy it, he'll tell you how to make it. You know, he'll give you the instructions. He'll show you. Actually, does videos showing it how it's done. So, you know, he's like that. He understands not everybody can afford that. So he makes a lot of videos that shows how to do it if you can't afford to buy one. Pretty cool. Great guy. Oh, my apple brandy turns out fine. Right now I'm doing watermelon, and I did get my final mash done finally, and it's fermenting. So I guess next week I'm gonna be running some watermelon for the farm to bottle, and I'll probably make a video of it, but I won't show any of that until maybe after. Or if you're pretty handy, you can get a 3x10 sheet, or yeah, 3x10 sheet for like $300, and a roll of solder for about 100. Big roll. Yeah, probably 30 or 40 for all you'd need. But yeah, you can get you a sheet and hammer it out, and might not be the prettiest. I mean, I've got buddies that are just now starting to cobble and make them, and they're doing the small ones first, so they kind of get used to working with it. But really, the smaller ones are hard, more tedious than the big ones. But I've got a sheet in there. I'm going to do the same thing. I'll probably make a 30 to 40, somewhere in that range. I've got the Bever 18 and a half, and then I've got some big ones. I've got some 80-gallon ones that I don't use anymore. But I got kegs. I got a 15-gallon keg, a 7.5-gallon keg, and I got the 18 and a half Bever. But about a 30, maybe 30 to 40 range. That's about as big hobby as you can go. And I can use one of these barrels, these plastic barrels. I can use one of those and pretty much fill a 30 or 40 with it, instead of having to do 3 or 4 runs and stop and dump and back set and do it all over again. I could just do it all at once, and you know do it less often. I wouldn't make more liquor. I just have to run it less often, pretty much. But yeah. Yeah, Steven still makes some nice stuff. Um, I would definitely go through it on eBay or somewhere like that where I had a guarantee. But yeah, he does pretty good work. Um, there's a lot of people out there, here locally. There's a lot of people that'll do it. I don't know about the price wise. I know Tiger Shine does some pretty bruiser. Uh, does some pretty decent pricing. I think James Wade Harrell, he senior, does some pretty decent pricing. Phil Billy's got some good pricing, but his are getting to be kind of fancy. He's got the big portals and stuff, so you can order different things and less features. You can get it down, but you definitely want to get one that has the ferrules on it. Don't get an old paste type. That shit gets old quick, having to clean that shit off all the time. So um, yeah, there's some decent deals out there, but nothing like building your own. Spend $300 and buy a sheet and do it yourself, man. It may not be pretty, but as long as it doesn't leak, who gives a fuck? If I had to do one, it'd have to be the condenser. It'd be the first thing I'd upgrade, and I'd get it off the top of the pot. And then when you do that, of course, you have to change the plumbing because it's going to be further away. But yeah, the condensers are grossly undersized on those. What's up, Mud Grips? What's going on, brother? Yeah, that I would definitely do the upgrade on the condenser for sure. And I'd do it and set it up in a 5-gallon bucket. Get the 5/8 coil, get it coiled up already in a box. Comes in a box, coiled up. You don't have to try to bend it. Don't even dream of doing that silliness. Buy it coiled. Get that 5/8. Get the ends that put on it, the tri-clamp ends, solder right on there. And that way, no matter how much you upgrade, you'd have to go pretty big to where that would be not enough. So you'd have a worm that you could upgrade to with, you wouldn't have to upgrade your condenser. What's going on, Chris? How's it going, brother? Yeah, it's not the same as the serial grade. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't remember the Sebisco. Yeah, that's crazy shipping, man. Yeah, I just buy some copper, man, hammer it out and solder it. I mean, there's videos on it. I'm sure Philbilly's got some videos, and him and Ian, I'm sure they put some videos on it, or maybe even Wes. I know he does some videos. No, it isn't. That's why I haven't done all wheat or an all rye or any of that single grain stuff other than corn. Yes, sir. Yeah, we've got talked to Damon. He's got the shirts. I'm going to have some shirts here before long. That will be a little bit different than the old ones. They'll look more like this on it. You can see that. They're gonna look more like that, but it'll be on a t-shirt. But I will have those by farm, hopefully by farm to bottle. I've still got to do, and I was tinkering with that last night on GIMP. I've got to figure out how to make my rockers curve more on GIMP to fit the center piece, and then I can do my layouts and then get my transfers for that. And I'm going to do t-shirts just like my vest there. Yeah, I'd add to the worm. Yeah, you can use the original one. Just add to it, and if you press. But I just go by. I don't know what 10, 12-foot coil, maybe 15, and just coil it up inside a 5-gallon bucket, and then you won't have to worry about it. Upgrading. Until you get real big. But for a hobby, yeah, you'd be set. Don't sell yourself short, man. You can do it. Save yourself a lot of money. Soldering's easy, man. Most people do. Most people get those and replace the plumbing. They replace the gaskets. They replace the condenser. They take that little slobber box and make a little thumper out of it, a better thumper out of it. Yeah, most people definitely convert them all the way over, man. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of great how-to videos. So, I'm telling you, Dylan, don't sell yourself short. You can do it, man. I mean, actually, Philbilly's got a video I just saw not too long ago that shows you how to do the column for your keg. What parts to get. He gives you a parts list. It's easy to do once you watch somebody solder and you use the proper flux and you don't overheat and you know yeah, soldering's not that bad. But once you do it more and more, yeah, you'll get it down, man. It'll be nothing. But always heat the fitting, not the pipe. So if you've got like a fitting and you got the pipe going into it, make sure you flux both and then put it in there and then heat the fitting all the way around evenly as you can and just keep touching the solder to it. And the second it starts melting, you can pull the heat away and start soldering all around it and just touch it with the heat to keep that heat even all the way around and work your solder you can see it suck that solder in. So it's not too bad. I've plumbed houses. Oh, it does. No, it's got it. Well, it had just a regular old copper cap with a lint arm going into a tube, but it had a whiskey cap on it that sat down on top of it, and it went into a 2-inch. But they stole the copper. Gotta love them. Wow. Wow. That's crazy, man. That's twice as much as here. Yeah, brother, that's what it's all about. You, you can get the answers that I give, on the internet. I mean, it's common knowledge, but trying to find it, and the amount of time you spend, looking for it, and people say, "Oh, go watch George's videos," which are excellent, and but if you have a specific question and you go watch George's videos, hell, you may binge watch for 2 or 3 days before you get a fucking answer to the question you had. So that I've always thought that this is what's definitely needed was just somebody that has some knowledge that can help and answer and what I don't know, I'll find the answer for you. I've got good sources. I don't go to Reddit for my answers or get shit off there or distiller.org or just none of that shit. I go to some pretty reputable places that get into the science of it. So but it's just something that's been needed. Somebody has a simple question, get a simple fucking answer without having to spend 3 or 4 days watching videos to figure out. I mean, you learn a lot in the meantime watching those videos, and I love watching George's videos. But it's just, sometimes if you have a specific question, you don't necessarily have the time to do it. And a lot of times when you Google it, you'll get 5 different answers, especially if you start looking at the wrong sources and you ask in some of the fucking groups, and that's the main reason I did it, because a lot of these groups, there's a lot of bad information going around. You ask questions, and like about health, and something that's the safety issue. What about cherry pits? If I crush them, should I worry about it? Should I just grind them all up? No, you absolutely shouldn't. And I've seen people saying it don't matter, it won't hurt you, and these people have no idea what amygdalin is, and they have no idea what it'll do, and they have no idea that specific cherries have certain levels of amygdalin in them that would fucking kill you. And they say, "Oh no, it won't carry over distillation, it'll burn off." And then I wasn't sure about it, but Alan Bishop came in and said, "Yeah, it has about 1,000 degrees. So if you heat it up to 1,000, you might denature it. Otherwise, you might not want to fucking do that." And people give them bad info like that, and these were admins and stuff in that particular group that was giving bad info. Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with it, and it's just so. Yeah, we need somebody that has some knowledge and more people to spread. Not necessarily, a lot of it's opinion, and there's a right and wrong way to do a lot of things, and there's good, better, and best ways to do it, and so there's not just one ways to arrive at a drip. But when it comes to certain things like that, it kind of I got pissed off. I was pretty upset about it, just bad information, and somebody just spouting off because they want to act like they knew a lot when they probably should have just remained quiet and not gotten involved in that comment. But it was a totally wrong answer, and we get a lot of those in the groups. I see so many wrong answers or bad answers, or you know, that it's just, fuck it. Let's get some good answers out there. And I'm not saying my answers are the only answers. A lot of, like water. Some people, we were talking about water at the very beginning. Some people would just say, you're a fool if you ever distill anything with tap water. It ruins it. It's the worst. And, browbeat you to death over it. Well, yeah, there are better waters out there to use, but this is home distilling, and that's all you got to use. We're not making a living. We're making a little fucking liquor, that we can drink on the side. Now, if you're commercial and you want to go big time, I definitely recommend an RO and a supplement of certain minerals or a good stream. If you got a good stream, or if you're lucky enough, to be in an area that's got decent well water, kind of well water's hit and miss, but if it's come from a good clean aquifer, it can be the best. Or if it comes from some other areas where there's coal, it could be the worst water you'd ever use. So, like where I grew up, well water is probably one of the worst things you could probably use to make a mash with. You'd be much better off with the tap water. But in other places, it comes off clean aquifers. It's perfectly fine. Certain places you can't drink the well water. It's only used for, bathing and watering grass. It can't even cook with it. So it just depends on where you are. Yeah, I'm probably going to do maybe do some hoodies, but I've got patches. The situation is, I was going to do the merch. This was going to be my merch item. It's a leather vest with a three-piece patch. That didn't go over well with everybody in or the admins in the militia. One in particular wasn't happy with it. He felt that, somebody wearing it might get hurt. And I agree, that is a possibility that somebody wearing it, not knowing what they had and what it was, what it meant, might get hurt. But it didn't have the MC patch, didn't have the 1% patch or anything like that. So we decided that probably not best to put it on vest. I've had a lot of people that want that vest and that understand, the risk, and understand that there's certain places you should wear it, certain places you shouldn't, and things of that nature. But we decided that not to do it. But I'm still stuck with quite a few of the, all the patches. So I'm going to be putting them on some other things that's not a vest. So, maybe a hoodie, but it's going to be fairly expensive. These 10-inch patches right here, I kind of probably made a mistake when I got them. It's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 color. So I probably did too many colors on it and drove up the cost on it. But those 10-inch patches weren't cheap. That was a pretty expensive patch. And so my cost was 40 on those, all right? They ain't cheap. And that's actually a good price. I searched around and I got anywhere. When I first started looking at the prices on it, it was like 120, 119, 120, and then I got 79, 89, a lot of those, a lot of 70, just under 100. And then I found a place that did them for 39.95 or whatever plus tax, so it's $40. So I went with them. So I've got those, but you add that $40 is that, and then you got the top rocker and the bottom rocker. So that's another, 15, $19 cost. So we're at almost $55-$60. And then the cost of the clothing item, is going to be $5-$10. But, it's going to be like a $80 hoodie, but you got to do something with them. I can't get just stuck with the damn labels, but, I'm not going to put them on the leather vest. I'll probably try to do a transfer to the vest. That way it's not a patch. It's not, you can wear a vest and it's just basically a transfer, so it's ink. So hopefully that won't piss everybody off or get anybody hurt or anything like that. But yeah, he did once. He made the video of doing that, and just to show that you could. But yeah, it's probably we had a guy on here last week that was doing it, and he was concerned about it breaking and doing all this. Like, no, it's not something you want to do at home. He just did it to prove that it could be done. So definitely don't do that. Some actually, I've had a lot of motorcycle riders. They want it. I've had several one percenters. They want that vest just to hang up at home because they think it's cool as fuck. Uh, and so I've had quite a few requests from bikers that want that vest. They love it. They think it's cool as shit. And I was up in Ohio at Fieldbilly Shindig, and the Outlaws came by, and just so happened that their enforcer was leading the group, and so I asked him opinion about it, and he kind of looked at it, and he's like, "Well, I don't see any MC patch on there. Don't see any Diamond 1% patch on there. Don't see any location or turf, info on there, turf patches or anything on there. So I don't have a problem with it. Can't imagine anybody having a problem with it. But I do agree with Tom. There's always going to be an asshole out there that wants to, you know, be a dick and cause some issues. And I wouldn't want any of the members having to deal with that kind of shit, you know, just over a piece of merch. So I'm gonna put them on hoodies, and we talked about maybe a shirt or one of those big heavy shirts, or maybe a bomber jacket or something like that. I'm gonna put them on, but definitely won't be on any vests. But I may do the vests for like patches, for just like a lot of people do patches and stickers, so you could put, your stickers and patches on the vest and have your little moonshine vest. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, don't use pickle jar. Yeah, I definitely go with stainless. That's pretty expensive sheet, man. Probably be just as cheap almost. Well, it won't be 1,400 to ship there. That's crazy. I'm mixed. I'm mixed on it. I would prefer a copper one. You can do the same thing with copper with a butterfly valve on the top and a drain on the bottom without having to handle it, take them on and off, and doing all that. You can put bypasses on it, and I would prefer them to be, small copper vessels, maybe a gallon, you know, in size, tall copper vessel that would work as a good infuser, and like a little mini thumper infuser. Um, but yeah, you have to be really cautious about when you pour your infusion liquid in there. You need to make sure that it's preheated and hot, because you don't want to be adding cold liquid to that hot jar, because that's going to become an instant problem. But there is some risks involved, scalding. I don't think anybody's going to blow up and do anything like that, but scalding, breaking issues, it's just, they do work well, but they work just as well if they were made out of copper, and you didn't have to worry about using the drill gloves, getting them on and off, and dealing with all that. But they do work. Yeah, Ever heard of MeWe? Well, I've heard of MeWe. I've never been there. Well, I'm glad they got somebody over there helping. Yeah, well, usually the bottom rocker is a location. The top rocker gives the club name, and the bottom is a location. So this one just saying militia, doesn't necessarily make it a no-no. Usually, if it says MC on it, definitely. If it's got the triangular 1% patch, yes, or a location. Like that bottom rocker. If we had a top rocker said Moonshine Militia, and then bottom rocker for whatever city, state you were from, yeah, that'd be a problem because that's a turf thing. But one of the main cats at the Outlaws had a look at it, and he didn't see any problem with it. But then again, like I say, there's always going to be some person that's going to have an issue with it. So, so I'm going to put them on hoodies, but they're, like I say, it's going to be 40, 55 plus the cost of the hoodie, maybe $70 for a hoodie, but it'll be cool as fuck. But I'm going to probably do bomber jackets too, so that'll be pretty cool. But no vests, no leather vests. But I'll let you guys know when I do it. Yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah, I saw those guys, man. Can you believe them calling out the Hells Angels? Are these guys sue a fucking saddle? I mean, that's some stupid shit. Those dudes are as good as fucking dead, man. They don't even know it. You don't do that shit. That's crazy, man. Did y'all see that? I mean, they're posting this shit on social media, and you know, trust me, the big four, they're all online. They see all this shit. They have actually Facebook pages and stuff. So yeah, that's cool, brother. Hey, I'll put it on there. Let me know what size, man. I'll put you one together. Let me know what size and color. Are you in the militia, Dylan, or on Facebook? Look me up. Yeah, yeah. I don't ride anymore, man. I'm too old for that shit. Yeah, those they're great for infusing too. Yeah, I mean you can take them off and pour some hot strawberry puree in there, and that Dailies stuff and different purees, different fruits. Just make sure it's good and hot when you pour it in there. I appreciate was it that if it wasn't for that one center patch, it'd be cheap. But man, I think I did a lot of shopping around, and I got it out of China, and it took like 2 months, for me to get it. But yeah, I mean those things ain't fucking cheap, man. It's like 100 most places it's $80 to $120, you know, for that same patch with those colors. Now you see a lot of, well, I mean, you might see patches that size that have like 2 colors, you know, for $20 or something like that. That's pretty common. But to get all those colors and get it custom made, yeah, that was an excellent deal for sure. I want a 3% patch on mine because I'm definitely a 3%er. All right, well, they'll let me know. I mean, if y'all want one, let me know what color, size, and I'll give you my information. We'll get it done. I mean, I've got all the stuff here. I can put it together for you and get it out, but I just can't put it on a vest. I can't put it on a leather vest. You know, that's the that's the stipulation. We can't do vests. And I agree. I don't want anybody getting hurt. You know, I don't want anybody out there, you know, wearing that vest getting hurt. I'm gonna wear mine. You know, but I know where to wear it and some not where not to wear it. But a lot of people out there that might buy it might be totally naive to the MC thing and, you know, wear it around and get drunk and somebody asks them about it and they get lippy. They might get hurt for sure. Uh, I don't care what letter alphabet agency they work for. I wouldn't want to be them. That was probably the dumbest thing that I've ever seen in my life online. And I mean, I've seen Maxine Waters talk. I mean, that's some stupid shit, man. How can you be? I mean, that's suicidal shit right there. I mean, they're as good as dead, man. Those boys don't fool around, man. Especially when you call them out like that. I mean, you're basically calling them out. You know, it's one thing just to, you know, say something derogatory about them or something like that. You know, which is stupid. But to literally call them out online and it go viral and everybody see it, that's insane, man. That's these guys. They think they're getting attention. They might make $10,000 off all the hits and clicks and all that shit. You know, they might get their million click check, but you know it's kind of hard to spend it when you're 6 feet under. Yeah, I can't, brother. I mean, I'm where I'm mine, but I know I got you. Well, I'll get the information now. What y'all got to do is get on Facebook and friend me up because I can't. It's going to be hard for me to take orders from here and do all that and and communicate just through here. I need I got to give you my. I'm not going to put my Venmo online or anything like that. But I'll send you my PayPal info, Venmo, whatever you want to do, or Zelle. That's what it's Zelle. My bank uses Zelle, or I've got PayPal or whatever. But yeah, I'll put together. Um, I'll just go ahead and make a note of it. And let me find some hoodies too before I make the final price. How much are hoodies? A decent hoodie. What kind do I get off Amazon? I'm sure. Basically, at this point, I just don't want to lose money. So, um, if there's a specific hoodie that you all see on Amazon and you want me to buy and put it on, just send me the link to that too. But if you want one, you gotta either join the militia or DIY shining stuff, or find me on Facebook so we can message each other and we can share the information. and you can send me, just send me a Amazon link to whatever sweatshirt you want, and I'll buy it. If you've got a shirt and you just want to ship it to me, I'll put it on. I'll put it on your hoodie, that way as well. Or if you have a coat or something that you want it put on, now it's iron on. If you want it sewn, I don't know how much it costs to have it sewn on. I don't think I'm good enough. I've got my grandmother's sewing machine back there that never tried to use. Hell, I've got an old foot pedal one from my great grandparents. Yeah, they might be, but let me give you the link for it. All right, let's see here. Let's see. All right, here's the link. I'll do something there for a minute. I'll do a little admin work. There's the link for the Moonshine Militia. Just click on that, join the group. Now, answer the questions. We have a few questions on there to prevent bots from automatically joining and then start spamming us. But bots will join, block the admins, and then start spamming, and it's a little bit of a headache. It's not bad. We get to take care of it, but there's some bots on Facebook that try to join every group, and if they don't have that protection and they get brought into the group, next thing you know, they're posting all kinds of spam and stuff. So we don't allow it. So click on that. You might have to scroll down to see the questions, but just join and answer the questions and join. Once you're in there, I'm an admin, so there's only 4 admins in there, so you kind of recognize me. I have an old Santa cap on, so my name's Joe Justice. So for those that don't know, so get up with me, Clint. Message me. Oh, you did? That's man. They're funny about shit on YouTube, man. We got to be real careful about what we say and do on here. Can't show any kind of guns or anything like that. I know one show, it wasn't an educational show. Like I try to keep this one pretty much on topic, educational. I try not to get too much into I'd love to sit and talk shit about politics and all that, but that only just pisses some people off. Some people don't want to hear all that shit, so I don't do it. Try not to mix all what's going on in the world in. We may do a podcast like that. May end up doing a podcast like that, but I don't want to. I don't want to make anybody mad. I'm not. That's not what I'm here for. So Awesome. We'll get you in there, Dylan. Yeah, once you get in there, you'll see Joseph Justice. I'm on the admin list, so just send me a Facebook message and remind me what it's about, because I'm very forgetful about shit. And let me know what you want. If there's something on Amazon that you see that you like that you want it put on, other than a vest. Now we can't do leather vests or anything sleeveless. Anything that might be considered a cut. We can't do that. But for a hoodie or something like that, we can get done. Awesome, awesome. And when we send out the welcome, say, hey, we're, from YouTube, from watching Distilling 101, good to be here, something like that, so we know where you coming from. I know, man. I couldn't think of a fucking slobber box. It's crazy. Man, I was racking my brain. I was like, what the fuck do they call that? I think Clint had overslept that night, so I don't think Scott was on. Somebody finally said it, but I hadn't scrolled down far enough to see it. So I sat there and racked my brain for another 10 minutes before I scrolled down and saw somebody mentioned it. It might have been Clint or Scott. I can't remember. It might have been you texting. But that's not as bad as funnel. A fucking funnel. Oh, man. That was just like, it just little words like that, man. I don't know. Getting old, man. It sucks. Where in the hell you at? Mark Morgan. I need a drink, man. You ain't hit that damn. You ain't said nothing yet. I don't reckon I can drink that. Yeah, I got several jars down there I can choose from. Drink a lot of high proof stuff. I'm starting to get, what they call that in your mouth? You get all the back thrush. It kills all the bacteria in your mouth, and next thing you know, I'm getting thrush. So I can kiss my old lady more often. That'll help keep it down. But yeah, just send me your size, and if there's a particular one on Amazon that you want, I'll order whatever it is, and get it put on there. Now, it'll probably be ironed on. If you want it sewn on, maybe when you get it, you can tack the corners to help hold it, or take it somewhere and get it sewn on. I don't know what it costs, but I'm sure them seamstresses ain't cheap. I'm going to try to, you can see that this was kind of a mock-up. You can tell, I don't have it. It's just tacked on with, I hand sewed it with a needle just to tack it on, just to mock it up. Because the iron-on definitely didn't work on leather. But I will show you the actual patches that you get are these. And if you look at these, if you notice a little difference, this has better spacing. The first outfit that did them, they gave the same spacing or different spacing for the letters. So Moonshine has a whole bunch, and then Militia, they just stretched it out, and there's a lot of space in between the letters, and it looks stupid because both words have different spacing. I didn't notice if you notice that on the vest. The Moonshine kind of close together, and then Militia's stretched out, and I don't like the way that looks. So it's got a lot more distance between it. So I came up with the idea to put AR-15s. Look at I need to pull that out of there. I want y'all to look at the detail. Now, these ain't cheap patches, and I'm telling you, these motherfuckers, wait till you see that. I don't know how detailed this camera allowed me to get, but look at that. Yeah, I mean, you can see the bayonet lug, you can see the trigger, you can even the what do you call them, on the collapsible stock, the lever is detailed. You probably can't see it on there, but when you look at it, it's detailed, and you can see the lever on the stock, collapsible stock, and you can see the thumb on the. You can see the hand grips on the grip there, the little finger, yeah, the little finger gripper thing, man. That's a lot of fucking detail, man. That's killer. And this uh, yeah, it doesn't focus real well, but it's got excellent fucking detail. So these are really, really good quality patchwork, man. I mean, I was very pleased with the work. They definitely worth it. The bat is cool as fuck, and it's a lot better looking, and it has the same spacing now. See, what's going on, Michael? Yeah, 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 yeah. That cooter juice will definitely keep that thrush away. That's for sure, brother. That's how you doing, Michael? It's good to see you on here, brother. I'm doing pretty good. Actually, I wasn't feeling very well tonight. That's why I got the fan going. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it tonight because at 6 o'clock I wasn't feeling good at all at 6 o'clock after I ate. Sometimes after I eat, I got irritable, man. I get sick sometimes when, especially if we had fried food, and I get sick. I was getting sick. I was sweating, cold sweating, and feeling horrible. And went up and took a stomach pill and took a little bit of a nap and put the fan on me for a while, and it made me feel better. And I came down. But I tell you, getting on here talking and chatting with everybody's good medicine for me. I really enjoy it a lot. And it makes me feel better. So that's good medicine. Yeah, man. Well, I got a little bit of gimping to do, but I'm also going to do some T-shirts, and it'll have pretty much the same logos on it, but it'll just be a transfer. It won't be actual patches. And but yeah, I love the quality of the work and everything. But I've got I got 50. Well, I got about 45 of them, and once they're gone, I don't know if I'll reorder or not because it's pretty expensive. But if if I get enough people wanting them, I'll order it. But to get the $40 price on those big patches, I had to order quite a few of them. It was a volume deal. I couldn't have got it with just ordering 1 or 10, so I had to order a bunch of them. So but took a couple months, but I was really pleased with the work they did. They did really good work on those, man. That's a lot of good detail on that center patch as well. Um, Absolutely, brother. It sure does, man. We got a pretty good community, in the militia. We all have our differences, and we all, it's just like family and brothers. We, get pissed off at each other and argue a little bit from time to time, and we don't always see everything eye to eye. And what group of men do, but when it all boils down to it, we're all still brothers, and we got a pretty good community for sure. I've never had any bad shrooms, and I don't want any. I have had my share of them though. We did shoot a lot of shrooms back in the day. Man, I hard to swallow for me. I'll sit there and chew them up. And I have to force myself to swallow them because my body is just like, nope, nope, don't you do it, nope. And it tries to refuse it, but you have to force them down. Your body's trying to say, no, don't put that in me. Don't do it. But your head's saying, chase it, get her done. Yeah, man, I don't know how many days I woke up with my 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 cheek muscles sore from smiling so much. I'm being so smiled out from the shrooms, man. My face muscles almost sore from just grinning so hard all damn night on them shrooms. I'm laughing. Apple mashes are just bubbling away. Awesome. I ended up taking a half threaded pipe and epoxy, a edger blade on it. Oh, put it on the drill and blended those apples into applesauce. Wow. An edger blade. That's cool. That's something I haven't thought about. I like it. BC shrooms. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that, Clint. Yeah, you definitely don't want to eat your own ones. And we were talking about that alone that filmed out there in British Columbia and Vancouver Island, in fact. Um, if I remember correctly, there was a guy that had to get taken off the show there. He ate the wrong shrooms and his lips got numb, his face got numb, and he was starting to kind of convulse a little bit, and they had to pack his ass out of there. Y'all remember that? Yeah, I remember it. It's not wise. And the dude's like, I don't know if that's one I should eat or not. I guess I'll try it. He's all happy go lucky. Man, that's just dumb, bro. I'm sorry. You ain't a survivalist. You're an idiot. That's no way to survive. When in doubt, at least cook the motherfucker. You might be able to denature some of those toxins with heat. God damn, just eating it raw and all this fucking crazy shit. I think there's been 2 or 3 that's had to be taken off the show because they weren't sure and had to go clean them up and pump them. And yeah, sorry to hear that, Clint. Yeah, you don't want to experiment. That's why I don't eat a lot of shrooms. That's why I've never been a forager for shrooms. I mean, I've showed some pictures of some shrooms going in my backyard in the woods behind my house, and I got a little teeny patch of woods. It's not like woods, but it's a line of trees between my house and the road behind it. There's some trees and woods, a lot of pine trees and some oak or some conifers, but I get some, different mushrooms growing in the yard and out there. And yeah, those are, you can eat those. I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. Some of the yellow ones, they say, oh, that's good. You can eat that one. Yeah, I think I'll pass. Yeah, he had bad luck, bro. I remember it, man. He ate that and he's like, yeah, it tastes good, not bad. And he's like, my lips are getting numb. But he's like, it's making my throat's a little bit. Yeah, he's off the show. Are there a lot of snakes on that island? Yeah, I know a lot of people. I've got some family members that actually I was talking about this last week that microdose. It's called microdosing, and they just take little bits at a time, and it helps them a lot. Yeah, peyote's a lot of fun. Yeah, I did my share of acid and LSD and stuff back in the day, and when I was young, I experimented quite a bit. And for those kids watching these days, don't you can't do it these days because they got fentanyl and everything, and it'll kill you. So you can't do the things we did. You just gotta brag about all the weed you smoked or the mushrooms you ate, because you definitely don't want to experiment with pills and powders unless you got a kit that tests it or something. Don't do it. Don't do what we did back in the days. You can't. Back then there wasn't a lot of people lacing shit, but about the time people started tainting aspirins in the 80s or 90s, and they started putting lids on things, a lot of things changed, and then fentanyl's just ruined it. So for any young people out there watching, don't do it. It's not worth it. But yeah, for mushrooms and weed, that's all you really need. A little alcohol. Copperheads. Oh, rattlers. Okay. Are those like little small rattlesnakes? I've heard of them, but I don't know a lot about them. I'm googling. that want to knock me. I'm about to Google. This is my like third time tonight. MISSISS Mississauga, Mississauga. MISSISSIAG. Damn it. MISSISSIAUGA. Actually, they got those in Michigan too. Wow. I don't think they got them this far down. Oh no, those aren't like little pygmy rattlers. Those are Eastern North America, Ontario, Eastern Midwestern. They got them here. Parts of the Great Lakes. I don't think those come down this far. I've never heard them. I mean, I've heard of them. I didn't know much about them. I didn't know their range, but I didn't think they came this far, son. Eastern North America. I'm trying to find a map with its range. Range. Here we go. Yeah, they don't come down this far. So they go to Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Central North, Pennsylvania, Northwestern Pennsylvania, all of Michigan. Yeah, Minnesota, up into Canada. That's why they don't come all the way down to us. Yeah, I googled. I can't. It's funny, man. I can't get over it. It makes him feel better knowing that I Google. And it's like, see, he doesn't know all that. He Googles everything. I guess it makes them feel better about their stupidity, how petty they are. A lot of haters out there these days, man. Everybody looking for a reason to hate on somebody. Yeah, I'm just trying to get on here, have a good time, answer some questions, and laugh and enjoy yourself. And people gotta hate that. They gotta hate it. Yeah, somebody putting cyanide in them, man. So that's when they started making all the lids, special lids for. Before that, a lot of people don't know about all that. I guess a while back, but that's why all the damn specialty lids are on everything now. The childproof lids. Yeah, we got timber rattlers. We got regular rat diamondback. We got a lot of snakes here in Kentucky. cottonmouths, a lot of copperheads and rattlers, though, the two worst ones here. Yeah, the cottonmouths are actually very aggressive. Cottonmouths are an aggressive snake. I mean, rattlesnake, they're kind of laid back. They'll let you know, don't fuck with me. I'm here, get away. I really don't want to have to kill you and risk, giving up my location. But, I'm going to warn you, they're not as aggressive. But, man, those cottonmouths, they see you, they'll come at you. And copperheads will too. I've been walking at night, pitch dark in the Red River Gorge area, camping and stuff, and fishing at night and stuff in there, and walking around and shining on the light and shine my light on a snake, and it I guess they sense heat, and these motherfuckers coming after me and shit. I ain't lying. I'm not scared of snakes, but goddamn, it's like what? And one time I was at Cave Run Lake fishing on the spillway, and they've got like a sidewalk on the spillway, right? And I'm walking along the spillway fishing, drift fishing, and I feel something pat hit the side of my tennis shoe, and I had black sweatpants on and big old white tennis shoes, and I guess that white shoe was all it saw. If I'd had on jeans or in khakis or anything like that, or shorts, it would have seen my leg and probably bit that instead. But instead, it bit my damn shoe. Hit it twice, man. I looked down at a big ass copperhead. Holy shit. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's right. Cucumber. We got a question. So the natural ferment is going well. Oh, with this apple barrel, sugar, water, honey. Well, that's a good question, brother. I would say I would use sugar water and use honey in an infuser if you want that flavor to carry over more. I've done meads and stuff and melanols and all that, and it's just, I don't get enough of that flavor to carry over to really justify it. But if you put it in an infuser, you can get like the jar rigs. If you got a double infuser, putting that over into that would probably get you more carry. But yeah, if you've got plenty and you're a beekeeper and you got tons of honey, absolutely, but if you're buying it, at the store, I would definitely say sugar and save that honey for the infuser, because it definitely can catch some good flavor from the infuser. Copper bellies. Yeah, the copperheads, there's a lot of copperheads here. And they say the babies are as bad as for toxic, for the strength of the toxin, they're more concentrated, and the babies can be as bad as I remember when I was growing up as a kid, I guess this little kid was trying to get him some worms to go fishing, and turned over a rock, grabbed him a handful of worms, stuck them in his pocket, and ended up being baby copperheads or something, and ended up killing him or some shit. That might be a story that your parents tell you just so you don't go do that shit. I mean, I didn't read it in the paper. I think my dad might have told me that. It might be one of those things, you reckon? Uh, Dylan, yeah, doing all grain is definitely better. Sugars tend to add some hotness to it. Now, like if you did an all grain and it was your first time converting, or you had the powder and it didn't get a good conversion, and numbers were 1.045 or 1050 or something a little bit low, and you wanted to bump the gravity up a little bit so you get some decent, decent volume out of it. It's okay to bump it up a little bit with sugar. That little bit doesn't hurt too much or any, especially if it's very little. And dextrose. If you can get dextrose, it's even better. It's a monosaccharide, which makes it very yeast friendly. The yeast love dextrose. They'll eat that shit up so fast. It's just one single molecule there. Like I say, it's a monosaccharide, and they love that shit. Whereas like a table sugar is a disaccharide of a glucose and a fructose bonded together. Well, the dextrose is just glucose, just straight glucose. And so they love that shit. It's a little bit more expensive, but if you're just going to bump gravity up a little bit and you don't want any bite increase or any flavor changes, dextrose is definitely the way to go. But a little bit of sugar doesn't hurt. It doesn't add enough bite or cause any off flavors enough to really to hurt anything. It's not going to be quite as smooth. So optimally, yes, the best you can do is get an all grain conversion and get a really good conversion with all your grains and not need any sugar at all, and distill it kind of low and slow or medium, and that's generally the best way to go. But yeah, it's definitely better to do the full conversion. It's so much smoother. But there's nothing wrong with sugar with just a grain. I did that for many, many years, but it is hotter, and it's what people expect out of moonshine. When they drink it, they say, "Yeah, that's moonshine." But when they drink an all grain, they're like, "Wow, that's smooth. What is that?" That's too smooth for moonshine that they're used to. But that's when you start putting some wood staves in and start doing a little bit of aging, when you get something that good of quality. Not that you can't with the sugar stuff, but yeah, the all grains is definitely better. Yeah, I drink a lot of rock gut nowadays, but it's a lot of fun. And it wasn't bad. I tell you, I can make probably. I've tasted a lot of people's all grain, and I'm telling you, some of the shit I made back in the day was just cracked cornmeal, and sugar. You know, wasn't too far away. What's going on, Anthony? I do about two. First time out, I would do 2 pounds per gallon. 2.5, might be okay if you got the high temp amylase and you're doing the steep method, and but I would start out probably your first time. I'd start out with 2.25 pounds, and you can crack corn has a pretty good consistency. If you want a better conversion, you can mill it a little finer or add some cornmeal to it. Um, but yeah, it's about 2.25 is a good place for somebody just starting. Doing all right, brother. I wasn't feeling too well earlier today, but I'm feeling a little bit better now. Thank you. Good to see you on here, man. But yeah, that's the beauty of the high temp amylase. You don't have to worry about the malted grains, and you can use that high temp amylase and the glucoamylase. You gotta get that too, and do all your converting and breaking down your starches with those, and does great. Now, I will tell you one of my secrets. Now, don't share this with many people, but if you can go to like Big Lots or Save a Lot or one of these cheap stores, or find a secondhand store, or um, you can get cream corn. and put that in the thumper or in your infusers. And man, that'll add some good flavor to your corn liquor. Sure will. Thank you, sir. Guess you can get that. Now, how in the hell? Wow, this is a new option. Oh, I've got a new option for people on here. I'm not even going to say what it is. Oh, I can't wait to use it though. I already know who I'm going to use it for too. When he comes back on here trying to troll me, I've got friends that come on. They try to troll me and get me worked up because they know I try to keep this class kind of serious and this podcast serious and kind of on topic and stuff as I can be, And they'll come in and start trolling me, talking shit. And now I got a new option now. I can put them in timeout. New timeout option. I haven't tried that yet. So 10 pounds of corn, 4 pounds of sugar, 10 gallons of water. All right, on those, when you don't do conversion, a 1-1-1 works pretty well. 1 pound of corn for 1 pound of sugar for 1 gallon of water. It works out fairly well. It's a little bit low on gravity, but it has decent flavor. You can add a little bit more sugar though if you want to bump up the gravity and you don't mind it being a little hotter. But the old 1-1-1 seems to be pretty popular. It's low gravity though. I mean, it's probably 1050, if maybe 104050 in that range. It's not real sweet, but it does produce some pretty good tasting. Now, did you use the glucoamylase? So now the high temp alpha will debranch. Let me pull this up here. Let's see. The high temp alpha. Let me pull up these. Shoot. Let me find my page here. Here we go. Let's see. Where is it? Here we go. All right. These are the 3 different basic starches that we work with. Actually, glycogen, no, that's in our bodies, right? That's so we won't work with that enzyme, but amylose and amylopectin, and these are the starches. Well, not in starches that we work with that are complex. Now, the amylose and the amylopectin both are found in most all of the fruits and vegetables, anything with starches that we convert. Let me see this other chart here. Damn it. Let's see. Let me make those extra large icons. Oh yeah, that's better. Let's see. Where is my little chart at that shows where is that? That was such a cool little. It showed them how they get broken down once they. Maybe it's this one. Yeah, this one. Okay, here's perfect. Okay, now if you just use the high temp alpha, see right here, the very top one, not the very tippy top one where it talks about maltose and oligosaccharides. but with the one that shows the actual enzyme and it says A dash amylase, that's the alpha dash amylase. Now, if you look on that, every one of those little green ones is where it breaks those up, right? And that's where it debranches. Now, so if you notice, some of those still have like 3 or 4 on it, right? Those are going to be limit dextrose. So if you're looking at this top A amylase one, you'll see a lot of disaccharides, a lot of 2s, but you'll see some 3s and some 4s, trisaccharides and oligosaccharides. Those won't convert. So if you just use the alpha, it will help a little bit, but you're definitely not going to get all the conversion that you need. Now, it'll show up on your hydrometer as sugar, but it's not going to be a fermentable sugar, right? Hey, Tammy, how you doing? So it's not going to be a fermentable sugar. So you want to break all those up. Now, if you go right underneath there and you look at glucoamylase, see, once you use that alpha and break them up and debranch them, then you can use that gluco and it'll debranch every bit of those. So it makes every one of them green and pretty much every one of them a monosaccharide, and kind of like the dextrose we were talking about earlier. The yeast really love that stuff. So that's why we use alpha to debranch, to break those branches up, and then gluco to finish them off. So the alpha amylase is an endoamylase, meaning it works from the inside out, breaking them up from the inside, debranching it, but it'll leave a lot of dextrins on the outside branches. And that gluco is an exo enzyme, and it will break them all down from the outside in. So we go inside out and then outside in, and we get a pretty good coverage of everything. So you did use the gluco. Perfect, perfect. Good to hear y'all from Garrett County down there. Spreading the love and the knowledge. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, the sublimes and I guess the firm solutions has pretty much the same thing. 185. Yeah, the Sebamil and just pure the gluco that I've used, the liquid gluco I use goes in at like 100, 110. I think 110 is kind of the upper limit. Some of the, like the beta glucanase is like 135 ish, you know. What do they call it? Beta glucanase, activated 122 and above. Some could go up to 140. 135 is what I've always heard is the upper limits for. That's the generally why they say here on this chart here. And yeah, I did Google that temp because a lot of them have different temperatures, and I want to make sure that everybody see it. Like right into here, like your barley malt that has your alpha and beta in it. That's an endogenous enzyme. 155 for that. But like the exogenous beta glucanase, probably 140 range. But like the just the straight glucanase is going to be less. Most all of them will have different. It depends on the manufacturer. I know DuPont is coming out with some new enzymes. So different enzymes, different amounts to be used, different concentrations, and different temperatures that they denature. So always don't go on what I say or anybody else says. Always look at your label or refer to the manufacturer online and find out what what temperature theirs denature at, because all of them are a little bit different and formulated differently, and there's no set standard rule for them. So it's all going to be pretty much based on um, the type, the source of the actual amylase and or the enzyme, and how they formulate it. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, 113.37. I think 135 is what I put most of my. I don't follow this chart with my barley malt. I don't go to 155. Do you? I guess if you want to take advantage of the alpha in it, is what that's for. If you want to take advantage of the alpha in it and get a little bit, but you're not probably going to get the full conversion that way. I use Broken Bones, which is basically the same thing as North Georgia's, which is basically the same thing as Firm Solutions. Yeah, North Georgia is pretty much the same thing as Broken Bones and I think Firm Solutions. And 185 is generally the high temp. That's fairly common for the high temp, but the glucanase, the beta glucanase, and a lot of the different um, exoenzymes, they're going to have a little bit different temperatures depending on it. Um, but like the barley malt here, I think it goes in at 155 too, because of the alpha amylase, and that's what you use that powder at, and it's going from 145 to 155, and that is definitely the powder alpha zone, and I would say that's probably getting the benefit of the alpha from that barley malt, um, because once it gets to 135, you're not activating any alpha out of the barley malt. But I use the high temp or the powder, regardless. I use the powder because I'm trying to use it up, get rid of it. But even if I'm using malts, I'll still add a little bit to help ensure. Because I'm talking literally drops, man. It doesn't take much. It's tiny bits. These enzymes are very, very, very strong. If you get the right ones and you get the concentrations, they're very strong. So it doesn't take much. Yeah, that's fine right there. Yes, sir. Yeah, the Broken Bones and the North Georgia and the Firm Solutions, all the same thing. Firm Solutions makes good stuff too, and Fieldbilly has the same stuff, so you can get it. Now, we'll mention last week we were talking about different corns, and somebody asked me, why I didn't like all these heirloom corns. I love heirloom corns, and I think it's great for hobbyists. What I was angling towards, if I were a craft distiller, I might do it, but if you're a large distillery, you can't. It's hard to work that into your costs. It's if the margins are tight, and if you're trying to do it, a business for profit, um, you're going to have to limit, unless you have a farm. If you have a farm that is right on the same property as your distillery, and you can grow your own heirloom corn, you can grow your own blue corn, which is probably the best. Um, but there's no best. Again, most people prefer, I should say. Um, yeah, it'd be fine, but it's really tough to, as a distillery like that, go out and pay what a lot of people are charging for these heirloom grains and try to make a buck. But as a home distiller trying to make a really good drink, absolutely. You know, it's some of the best liquor you'll ever make, you know, especially that blue corn. Yeah, and Argentine orange, I hear. I haven't tried it yet, but I've got to try it because I hear it's fantastic too. And there's some other orange corns that are supposedly really good, but I'm not hating on them. It's just to try to do it as a business. It 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 might not make a lot of sense for you, you know. Um, but if it's for a hobby, absolutely. But if you're trying to make moonshine and bootleg it, I wouldn't recommend it. If you're trying to be a craft distiller and you're putting high prices on your bottles, sure, you can do that. Um, might limit your market, but if you get a good name and you get a following, you can sell those $50 bottles and $60 bottles, no problem. You know, if it's good liquor and it's aged, you got a little oak on it, yeah. But if you're like a big distillery, unless you own your own farms and stuff, it's going to be a hard thing to do to make the margin, right? So I wasn't hating on all those heirloom corns. I'm sorry if I came across that way. Because somebody asked me, like, well, you don't like heirloom corn? I love them, but it's just is if you're making it to try to make a buck in commercial end of it, or if you're moonshine and bootlegging, it's gonna be tough. But for craft distilling and just to make you a few gallons of some really good stuff, fuck yeah, get you some Hopi Blue or Howl Blue, and man, that's some good stuff. Now I've heard the oranges too, and I look forward to trying that. Chocolate malt. Definitely don't overdo it. Yeah, yeah. I don't even know about 10%. It's very easy. All the dark malts, the darker they get, the harder. You know, they have good flavor, but they can easily overpower. So it's definitely something that you want to go lightly on, and it's best to start with a little bit, make a run, see what you think about it, maybe 2 to 5%, and then add a little bit more, till you get a heavy full body that you want. But you know, you definitely don't want to use too much of it. The darker malt. Now the blonde stuff and the honey malts and those are, you can use a little bit more of those. They're not as strong, but still, and also make sure you realize that when they do have dark malts like that, the enzymes in them have been denatured. So don't depend on them for their enzymatic power, because they don't have any diastatic power at all. Yeah, 5 to 10%. I don't even know if have you done a lot of 10? I don't. Yeah, it's easy to overdo. That's cool. Yeah, yeah, they do. They have very strong flavor. In fact, I've had people say, "Oh, that malt sucks, man. It's the worst shit. I hate that malt. Hate it, hate it." And they keep dogging it and shit. Like, man, why you hating on malt? It's good stuff, man. No, it ain't. It's horrible. It's horrible. The worst shit I ever tasted. And then I'm like, oh, why, man? What did you use it with? What was your grain bill? Well, I had about 60% corn and 40% 40% chocolate malt. I'm like, God damn, man, no wonder you fucking, it's horrible. I'd say it would be. Right, yeah, it's different malted dry. Yep. Yeah, chocolate malts and all those, they're definitely processed different. They're denatured. They go through a heat process, you know. They get toasted and all that. And it denatures them. Great and flavor. And they also have that liquid malt, the light malt extract, LME. That works pretty well too, but easy overdone. So you don't want to add too much of that either. But I've used that. Y'all ever use the Clint? You ever use the malt extract? They call it LME, light malt extract. I get a big old bag of that upstairs. It's a liquid though. It's Clint, you ever use that? The LME, the light malt extract, or I guess just malt extract. It's pretty good. Definitely don't want to overdo that either. It'll give you that malt flavor. Some people just don't like malt. I like it. Of course, I'm not much of a beer drinker, but I like the dark beers. I like a lot of richness and flavor like that. Yeah, I have to give it a try. I'm not. Yeah, you definitely want to use Yamalays. It's not going to give you diastatic, but it will give you flavor. I'd start with like Clint's talking about 5%. I definitely wouldn't go over 10, but between 5 and 10, five probably give you a light, moderate flavor. 10 give you a pretty full body flavor. You don't want to go over that though, because a lot of people use like 20%, because that's the typical what you use for your diastatic. So they're used to using 20% barley malt or whatever. So they do 20% of the malt and or more, because more is better, right? A little bit's good, more is better. No, yeah, yeah, they definitely don't overpower. Yeah, I like a dark beers. If you're into that, definitely. Yeah, it's about the same here, brother. Yeah, we're going to cut her off here. Take it easy, Mud. Yeah, send me that message, brother. If you want the hoodie, anybody else want, if you all want the hoodie, just send me a message on Facebook and send me a link to what hoodie you want off Amazon. And I'll get that hoodie and we'll get it fixed up for you. Take it easy, brother. Have a good rest of your week. And we'll see you on Friday night for the shit show if you can stomach it. If not, Saturday for Q&A. I don't know. We might do talk about more about wines. We got a lot of people interested in the wines. Yeah, get up with me, Clint. Peace, love, and chicken grease. That's what they say, right? Love, peace, and chicken grease. I think that's what Damon says all the time. We're talking about hoodies, not goodies, hoodies. They're going to be patched, so they're fairly expensive. They're going to be like 80. It depends on how much the hoodie costs. So, I mean, I got to make, a few bucks on it. I'm not trying to profit. I'm not trying to, make a living at it. But I have to make it worth my while. But like I said, I've got 40 in the circle patch and like 15, 16, something like that, maybe into the rockers. It's 15 plus tax, whatever that comes to. I don't pay shipping on, and actually the big ones I paid shipping from China on, but the rockers I get free shipping off Amazon on those. But so it's like 55 plus whatever the cost of the hoodie is, plus $10 or so to make it worth, my trouble, plus shipping. I can't eat that. So it's going to be 55 plus the cost of the vest and shipping and $10, just to make it worth my trouble. But again, I'm just trying to get rid of them at this point because what I wanted to originally do, I'm not going to be able to do with the vests. I guess I'm just going to sell the vest at the festivals and stuff for people to put, stickers on and stuff, and so regular patches too, But we don't want anybody putting the patches on a cut and getting hurt or anything. I really didn't think much about it because I didn't really think that it would be offensive to anybody, but because it didn't have the MC and the diamond patch or any of the location and the things that make it a biker vest versus just a vest. But some people seem to think that it might, and then after talking to other people, there is a possibility that somebody could get hurt, wearing it unknowingly. So I don't want anybody getting hurt, but at the same time, it's hard telling a grown ass man what he can and can't have, But I agreed that I'm not going to sell them that way. I'm not going to put them on vests and sell them. So hoodies and bomber jackets, things like that. That's not, that's not a motorcycle cut. So, we can do that. T-shirts, I'm going to be, I will have some T-shirts with something that looks very similar, but it'll be on a decal or a sub ink heat ink thing. So I don't think that counts as patching. So it'll look a lot like that, but it'll just be on the back of a T-shirt, and it'll have the there'll be nice T-shirts too. So anybody want one of those, it'd be a little cheaper. But that embroidery work is fan freaking tastic, man. It's really top notch. It is badass. I mean, it looks great together. So where's the picture I can show you? That's what the vests look like. But I can't sell those. So that same thing will go on like a hoodie or a bomber jacket or something like that. We just can't put it on a leather vest and cuts, because some MCs and some people might be offended, if you're wearing that in their turf. I don't want anybody getting hurt. So I just throw them in the garbage to see somebody get hurt. So I just don't want to. Anthony, Outlaw said the same thing. If it doesn't say MC or have the diamond patch, it's not a big deal, or the location. But some people, there's always assholes out there, and a lot of people see a 3-piece, and you're in their turf and they're a prospect and they're wanting to, be somebody, they may try to take your damn cut from you so they can take it back to the clubhouse and brag about how they took it off somebody and in their turf, and there's the remote possibility that can happen. So I'm just not going to put it on a vest. If I sell you a t-shirt or a hoodie and you want to take them off and put them on a vest, that's, up to you, if I put them on a t-shirt or something and you decide to tear them off there and put them on a vest, I can't keep somebody from doing that, but I hope if they do that, they do it knowing that there's always going to be that one person out there that may not like it. I agree with you, Anthony. Most mature, MC members wouldn't have a problem with it. But there's always some prospect that, but there's always some, some asshole or prospect, somebody that's looking to get a name and looking to impress their, their members and trying to, show their worth or whatever. I know how it works, and they may, cause issues, or it might raise some eyebrows because it's a 3-piece, But again, without the MC, there's a lot of, there's, people wearing the Sons of Anarchy, perfect example, but that does say MC, but a lot of people wearing those Sons of Anarchy vests out there getting their ass kicked, wearing them around. That does say MC on it, but I don't want that to happen to any of our members, So I'm just not going to put them on the vests, We're just going to put them on bomber jackets and hoodies and those kind of things. Might put them on. I'll probably just on t-shirts. I'm just going to go with I'm going to do a decal. I think it's ink. They call it Sublime. So I'm going to do that for the t-shirts, but they'll look just the same. But it won't be on that. I wonder, I could probably do a decal on the vest. That wouldn't be a patch. I do have 20-some vests, 25 vests that I got to get rid of somehow. Yeah, I was going to do all this, and it was going to be awesome. And I got the vest pretty cheap. That's why I'm not even returning those vests, because I got them so damn cheap. I'm not even, they're $35 on Amazon, and they had this sale, and I got it for $20. So fuck it. I mean, $20 vests. They're nice vests. They're soft leather. They're nice. I mean, it's not something you'd want to protect your body with if you had a motorcycle wreck. But as far as wearing, they're kind of lightweight. They're not real heavy and hot, and they're kind of soft leather. So they're not a bad looking little vest. But, I got them for like $20 on a killer sale. So I'm not going to return them, and I'll sell them. I'll probably sell them for $30. That's still $5 cheaper than you can buy them right now on Amazon, right? But we'll have it so people that, get the stickers and stuff, people be able to put all their little, stickers and shit that they get, that they get on there, and, everybody can start doing stickers. And some people may start doing, small patches, for festivals. That's what Wes and I were talking about for some of these festivals and stuff. Maybe, for Summer Jam 2025, have a Summer Jam patch, a farm to bottle patch that you can buy and put on your vest for all the different festivals that you go to. That'd be pretty cool, right? So we're going to start doing that. You didn't mention pagans, Clint. Yeah, most of them do, man. I mean, we don't get a lot of them here. There was a big shootout at the Outlaw Clubhouse here in Lexington a few years back. But other than that, man, it's all. But I mean, I used to party with bikers all the time, man. I mean, I used to ride, dirt bikes, but I loved riding bikes, man. I loved being on. Well, actually, the enduros, so I was on the road and on the dirt. But I never rode big Harleys or anything like that. I'd love to. Always wanted one, but never could afford one, and now I'm getting too old. But yeah, Hells Angels, Outlaws, Pagans, and Banditos. I think those are the pretty much the four biggest. But there's a lot of other ones out there. A whole lot. I mean, there's tons of them. But yeah, somebody might take offense to somebody wearing a cut. If you wear it into a bar, I can see that happening. Wear it into a bar. You go into somebody's bar that it's their hangout, and you walk in there with that cut on, and you got a pretty rowdy bunch, and it's a Saturday night, and you're a dick, and you're hitting on their women. I can see it becoming a problem. Yeah, just send me a message even on Facebook, Tammy. Just send me a message on Facebook. Joseph Justice, are you in the militia? But just send me a message on Facebook, and you can send me like an Amazon link of what hoodie or what jacket, any hoodie or jacket or anything like that you want it put on. Just show me, and you're close enough. Yeah, if just show me what you want, or if you got one that at home that you would like it put on, you want to save a little money, we can meet up somewhere, and I can bring it home and iron it on for you. I've got a nice little Bever press. So get up with me. It's if you're in the militia, I'm an admin in the militia. There's only four of us, so it won't be hard to find me. I'm the only one with the Santa hat on. But Joseph Justice is my name on there. If you want to look me up, Joseph Justice on Facebook. I'm probably only Joseph Justice Jr. with a Santa hat on. So you'll notice my Facebook picture and my beard. But just send me a private message, and if you've got, a bomber jacket or something like that you want it put on, I can do that. Or if you got a hoodie that you like off Amazon, I can buy that and put it on for you, and meet you somewhere. I can deliver it. I won't even have to charge you shipping. So if anybody's close enough, or you want me to bring it to a festival, I can do that too. So that can save some shipping. Shipping shouldn't be too much, though. Just put it in one of them boxes or one of those bags. Actually, the little plastic bags they ship be pretty cheap. All right, y'all. We're gonna get off here. It's good Monday or good Wednesday hump day. I'm glad I got on here. I said it's evening. I wasn't feeling good. I didn't think I was gonna be able to do it. I had to go up and take me a little pill and put the fan on me. I wasn't feeling good, and I took a little bit of that, and I woke up feeling better, so I was able to get on here. But yeah, it is getting late, and I'm still not 100%, so we're gonna have a little nappy. getting a little tired. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I guess we will see you Friday night for the shit show, if you can stomach it, or Saturday for a Q&A, and maybe we'll do wine making. So we'll talk about brandy. Of course, you just distill the wine, but we'll talk about making wine, and that's something I've been doing a lot of lately, and different things you need to make the wine, and maybe share some recipes with each other. All right, brother. Appreciate it, Dylan. Yeah, get up with me. We'll get you in let's see, militia group. Damon takes care of that. He will. 6 new member requests. We got a bunch here, so we will definitely take care of that. You'll be in tonight or first thing in the morning. I'll let Damon handle all that because he likes doing it and making the announcements. So I'll let him take care of that. All right, y'all have a good one. We will see you Saturday. And we'll thank you, Terry. I appreciate you, brother. Everybody have a good night. We'll see you Saturday, and we'll go over some wine making. I'll get my paper full of recipes, and I'll try to type some of them up. It's going to be hard to read my writing, so I'll have to translate it to a piece of paper. But I'll have some recipes that I've tried and true, and some things like how many watermelon did it take to get a gallon of juice, or how many of this. I try to keep track of that, so I'll have a little bit of that info for you too. All right, y'all. Peace out. Shine on. Love y'all. See you Saturday night. Have a great week.